Section 1.2 talks about subtracting real numbers. So in talking about subtracting real numbers, the first thing we're going to sort of look at here is that subtract really means to add the opposite of the second number, okay? So if you notice here, a minus b equals a plus the opposite of b. So I want to kind of go through each of these problems here. The first number is 7. We have 7 minus 4. The first number is never going to change. If you notice, that's a 7, that's a 7. What we're going to do now is we're going to change that subtraction sign to an addition sign. This is why we have a plus right here. We are now going to take the opposite of this number. Now notice the number that I circled is the number 4. Well, the opposite of a positive 4 is a negative 4. So I want to think about this problem that I have here. 7 plus negative 4. I have $7. I owe you 4. Well, I'm still left with 3. Okay? We're going to do that for every single one of these problems that we have here. So let's go through it again. We'll do the next problem. The first number never changes, okay? So it's still a negative 5. We're going to change the subtraction sign to an addition. There we go. Then I'm going to take the second number. The second number here is the number 3. It's a positive 3. Well, the opposite of a positive 3 is a negative 3. If I owe you $5 and I borrow another 3, now I owe you a total of 8. Okay. Let's try the next one. The first number, if you notice, is a 3. The first number doesn't change. We change that subtraction sign to an addition. We are now going to take the opposite of the second number. Look at this number. This is a negative 6. So the opposite of a negative 6 is a positive 6. So now when I do this problem, 3 plus 6. I have $3. I have another 6. I have a total of 9. All right, let's try the next one here. Again, I'm trying to do the same process every time. My first number, negative 8, doesn't change. The subtraction becomes an addition. We're going to take the opposite of the second number. Well, the opposite of a negative 2, is a positive 2. If I owe you $8 and I have 2 and I pay you what I have, I still owe you 6. All right. So let's take a look. We have a few more here. I'm going to do exactly the same thing we've been doing before. The first number doesn't change. We change the subtraction problem to an addition. We then look at the second number. That number in that green box is the number 57. It's a positive 57, so we are going to make it a negative 57. Okay. Now we're going to go ahead and go across. I have $23. But I owe you 57. So I want to think about this for a little bit. I only have 23 and I owe you a whole lot more. That tells me at the very end, I'm still going to owe you money. I am going to owe you $34, right? Let's try the next one. The same exact way. The first number doesn't change. We change the subtraction problem to an addition. I'm going to take the second number and put it in a box. I need to find the opposite of that number. Well, the opposite of a negative 13 is a positive 13. So now, I owe you 17, but I only have $13. So after I pay you, I still owe you 4. Okay? Let's take a look at the next one here. Remember, my first number does not change. We change the subtraction to an addition. We take the second number, negative 7, we write its opposite. I have no money in one pocket, I have 7 in the other, so I'm still left with a total of $7, right? Okay. The first number does not change. Change the subtraction to an addition. Find the opposite of the second number. Well, the opposite of a negative 19 is a positive 19. So if I owe you 11, but I have 19, I have more money than I owe you, I am left with 8. Okay? All right, so for the fraction one, remember what we're going to do first. We need to find a common denominator. So between 3 and 4, again, if I need to, come back to my table. Here's 3, here's 4. The first number they have in common is 12. Okay? So I'm going to write the number 12 here, and the number 12 here. And say, okay, we multiplied this guy here by a 4, so we're going to multiply that one there by a 4. That's a negative 8. I'm going to write my minus sign right here. Multiply that by a 3, multiply that by a 3. There we go. Okay. I'm going to sort of write this as one big fraction. Okay. Remember, the first number does not change. I'm going to change that minus sign to a plus. I'm going to find the opposite of this number. Well, the opposite of a positive 3 is a negative 3. So if I owe you $8 and I borrow 3 more, now I owe you 11, and the common denominator is still 12, right? All right, so if you notice here, I got another decimal problem. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to reach for my calculator. It is right here. Let's clear that out. Okay, 0.9 negative, oops, 0.9, make it negative. Now I'm just going to put minus, because I have a minus, 0.5, negative 1.4. Okay. All right. Let's try the same thing for the next problem. All right, first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to find my common denominator. I hope that you guys can see at this point that the denominator is going to be 20. I'm going to multiply this guy here by 5, so I've got to multiply that one by 5. That's a 15. I'm going to multiply this one here by 4, so I'm going to multiply that one there by 4. That is a negative 12. We have the minus on the inside. Okay. So now let's go through our process. Remember, the first number does not change. That minus sign becomes a plus. We then find the opposite of a negative 12, which is a positive 12. Okay. And 15 plus 12 should give us a total of 27. Okay. All right. So in these next 3 problems here, I want you to notice that we have a combination of addition and subtraction problems. So if I look at this first part, I'm not going to worry about the rest. I'm just going to worry about that. That's telling me to add. It tells me that we have 9 plus negative 7. So I have $9. I owe you 7. I am left with 2. Now I have 2 minus 5. Okay. At this point, with my 2 minus 5, remember, my first number doesn't change. I change the minus, make it into a plus. I can find the opposite of 5, negative 5. I have $2. I owe you 5. Well, I owe you 3. Okay. Same thing here. The first thing I'm doing is I'm adding. I owe you 18, but I only have 12. Well, that means I still owe you 6. Okay. Now remember, my first number does not change. That minus becomes a plus. I find the opposite of that number there. Okay. I owe you $6. I have $6. I'm left with no money at all. Okay. Alrighty. So, the next problem, remember, I'm already subtracting, but my first number does not change. That minus becomes a plus. We take the opposite of a negative 12 to a positive 12. If I owe you $23 and I only have 12, well, I still owe you 11. Okay. I'm going to write the next part, minus a negative 4. Remember, my first number does not change. That becomes a plus. The opposite of a negative 4 is a positive 4. If I owe you $11 and I only have 4, well, now I owe you 7. Okay. I'm going to just copy the next part right here, plus 17. I want you to notice in this problem, I am adding. I don't need to do anything when I'm adding other than add. So if I owed you $7 and I had 17, I will be left with 10. Okay. Here's another calculator problem. Let's go ahead and do this one together. Again, I'm going to go real slow. I want to make sure that I'm typing in exactly what I see on my paper. That is a negative 8.83. Notice now I have a subtraction sign. Here's my subtraction sign, minus 2.6. But what kind of 2.6 is it? It's negative. Okay? Plus 1.9 equals negative 3.8. Okay? Alrighty. So the next problem here says debit card account balance. Yesterday, Jackie had $156 on her debit card account. Today, her card reads balance negative 37. Find the difference in these two amounts. Okay, so it's asking me to find the difference. Difference means that we are going to subtract, okay? So the first number we have is $156. We are now going to subtract because we're finding the difference. Well, the number we're going to subtract is a negative 37. Okay? Well, remember, my first number does not change. We change the subtraction to an addition. We find the opposite of that number. Okay? Now, I'm just going to add these numbers together, right? So again, if I want to grab my calculator, it's right here. Let me clear that out. 156 plus 37, 193. Okay? Oops, 193. And there we go. Good.